Good morning, everyone. Just give everybody a moment to realize I'm live. Excuse me, I was just choking on air. Welcome. If you're catching this on Facebook, giving me a like. If you're catching this on Instagram, like this as well on Instagram. If you know someone who's operating within government contracting and you feel that this information would benefit them, share it. Be in online reporter. We share everything else. Why don't we share pertinent information that will help somebody build their business? You catch me on Facebook, or if you are catching this on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you'll be notified when I go live and when I host my master classes. All of my master classes are on YouTube. Excuse me. I was choking just before I went live, and apparently I'm still not finished choking. But you know how we were raised. As you enter the room, say hello. If you're catching this by the replay, hashtag replay, so I can acknowledge that you stopped by. But welcome to this morning's edition of Contractor's Chatter. I'm Luciana Turner. I'm your host. I'm the founder of the LT&A company, which is an all-inclusive government contracting consultant and training firm specializing in government contracting. I'm a little off this morning, and I'm going to tell you why. Yesterday, I participated in a conversation on Clubhouse, and the conversation stemmed around fraud in business. Particularly, several people in the audience spoke to how they had been defrauded out of some money. And then, as one or two of the ladies spoke, there were other people in the room spoke up about being defrauded, and eventually somebody called a name. And then it turned out everybody in the room had been defrauded by the same person. And I'm not going into details of who the person was because that's not germane to the point I'm getting ready to make. But the woman that was running the room, she's a coach. She's a profit accelerator, business development coach that I've been following ever since I started in business back 10, 11 years ago. And she made a point that I thought was very appropriate. It was easy for this woman to defraud these women, and then it turned into a whole other clubhouse where other people spoke up about being defrauded by her. But it was easy for her to commit fraud because one, she did something that I see a lot of people want to do. People gravitate towards the guarantee instead of gravitating towards doing the work. And I know somebody's going to hear that and think I'm crazy, but I want you to follow me for a moment. We live in a world of where people think if somebody else takes responsibility for my success, then that means I'll be successful. And if I make a nominal or low cost investment, then that success is guaranteed. Because one, they're taking the risk allegedly, and two, the investment is low. And the higher the investment, well, then there must be some kind of fraud. So I want a guarantee that you're going to bear all the risk while I reap all the reward. And while I'm not against people wanting assurance of work for their money, I'm resistant or against this concept of pay, your payment is a guarantee. I have 3 coaches. None of them is less than $15,000 a year. I didn't ask any of them for a guarantee. You know why? Because my guaranteed success, my guaranteed return on investment is when I do the work. I guarantee my success when I do the work. I'm not saying that I can't be defrauded, but my barrier or my chances of being defrauded are low because I understand that I have to put in the work. So my investment is not in there doing the work for me. My investment is in their knowledge to help accelerate my success. They can see me objectively and help me see the holes or the pitch or the gaps that I can't see because I can't see myself. You know that old saying that the picture can't see its own frame? And then there's a touch of arrogance there. We're so assured that our plan is brilliant until times we don't see where it, is not that brilliant. There's a little tarnish from the shine. I had a meeting with, and all of my coaches do not mind stepping on my feelings. And it's not done in a spiteful way, but it's done in a way to say, "Man, great idea, but let me show you where it could be better." See, I don't seek agreements from my coaches, which is what makes me coachable and what makes me successful and what makes me and what makes their coaching applicable in my situation and why I'm accelerating in my business. Because I knew that the guarantee was my applying the coaching, my doing the work, my being teachable is what was going to lead to the results I was seeking. So the guarantee is if I do the work, I will have the return on investment. But the investing in the coaching is the accelerant. I tell people all the time, I'm your catalyst. And anybody who knows about science, all a catalyst does, it doesn't become the end product. It just speeds up the reaction so that you can get to the end product. And then it falls by the wayside to be used in the next reaction. That's what a coach does. But far too often, people think a coach becomes part of the process. Far too often, people think the consultant is part of the reaction. And then when you don't get the result you're looking for, instead of saying, I didn't do the work or I didn't apply the coaching, it's I didn't get. Now, I'm not saying people aren't supposed to deliver, because when I tell you that you're going to get a book and we're going to go through A, B, C, and D, we're going to meet on this day at this time, and our sessions are for 45 minutes. When I tell you that I'm not going to spare your feelings to make you feel good, when I tell you that's what we're going to do, you could take the outline I give you and run down what we do, and we're going to match it up. But despite all of that, if you don't apply my advice, if you don't apply my teaching, you're not going to get the result. So back to the fraud. But the commonality was this woman was guaranteeing thousands of dollars for not even $100 investment. And everybody jumped on it because, quite frankly, we're living in a time where people want financial security. And I don't begrudge anybody that. However, anytime somebody guarantees something or ties a 5-figure success to minimum work, that's a red flag. Success only comes with work. I'm sorry. If you sit down and talk to anybody who has made it, quote unquote, quote end quote, that's the correct way, quote end quote, made it, they will all tell you they put in the work. They will all tell you that there were some times that they put in 12-hour days. See, this is the conversation that people don't want to have because it's not sexy. It's not cute. It's not, it's not sophisticated. But this is the conversation we need to have. Whether you're in government contracting, you're providing a corollary service, or we're just in business, period. We need to start up leveling not only our conversations, but our mentality. My pastor says you get there head first. And simply means that we get where we're going when we change our mindset. And until your mindset changes, nothing else will. So I've been not troubled, but in deep contemplative thought. This is not even where I intended to go today. But I just couldn't get my mind wrapped around anything else because I just really felt the need to discuss this. I've talked to people over the last 3 weeks about doing work with me. And everybody I've talked to said the same thing. They signed up to do work with somebody else because, quite frankly, that person is cheaper. But they went through stuff that you could have gotten for free at the SBA class that had nothing to do with government contracting. Absolutely nothing. It was how to start a business 001. But you know why they signed up for? Because she was less than $100 and it was no work. And I gladly tell people up front, you come work with me, it's work. Because government contracting is work. You have to put in the foundation. You have to set up your systems. Then you have to go after the procurements. You have to meet people. You have to make sure that you come across as trustworthy, as capable. You have to come across as experienced, and you have to be able to convey that experience. And then when you win the contract, guess what? You have to deliver. Because guess, you can get the contract and not deliver if you want to. They will yank that sucker and give it to somebody else. That's a part of government contract, and we don't talk about either. The government will award you a contract, and if you do not deliver, they will give it to someone else. It is done frequently. And we need to have these conversations. Get it out your head that there is this mythical assurance that once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, you have to stay in. And you know how you stay in? You keep your knowledge up. You stay current. You work and collaborate in excellence and in honor and with character. You hire people to address the deficiencies within your organization and to fill the knowledge gaps. You will never be the answer to all things, but you will know where to source those answers. And that is the up-level conversational truth about business, period. Whew. I didn't mean to go there today, but somebody has to start having these conversations, and we need to have them readily, and we need to have them frequently. Because in this year This is the government fiscal year FY 2022, but this year there was radical shifts and radical changes. People lost businesses because they weren't able to pivot on a dime. And some of that was due to mandates and shutdown, and some of that was due to adherence to antiquated ideology. There was a restaurant near me, a full-fledged open restaurant. When COVID hit and they had to shut down, they went to a delivery service so fast. But that's what you do, you pivot. But how did they pivot? I had a brief conversation. I didn't even know he was the owner. He reached out and he so happened to have a conversation with somebody who's just so happened to be a business development guy. He took money that he, quote, didn't have, and he hired this man to help him develop a new strategy to survive COVID. And that's how he survived until they were able to reopen. So the return on investment was he did the work. The investment was he hired a coach. But until you're willing to do what your coach tells you to do, your return on investment will forever be zero. You get there head first. That's a mindset shift. Now, I'm not a mindset coach, but let me tell you, I know some. I know one lady in particular, she will get your mind right or hurt your feelings until you get it there. And she's not being mean. And I use the terminology hurt your feelings because she really makes you look at yourself. I know another gentleman, I know people who work in that space who don't tap dance around the issues. And if you're ready for transformation, these two in tandem are who you need to talk to. Then I have a spiritual coach who he talks about the mental, the spiritual, the emotional growth that you need to go through. And I'm gonna tell you, his coaching in tandem with my mindset coach, in tandem with my business coach, I swear they get together and say, okay, this is how we're gonna tag team Luciana today. But I said all that to say this, and then I'm gonna wrap up today's session. The only guarantee that we have in business is that if you put in the work, you will yield results. And the only guarantee that you have is that you will get there faster with a catalytic agent called a coach and or consultant. And their job is to be just that, a catalyst. And with that said, I invite you to join me tomorrow morning at 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another installment of Contractors Conversation, where I'm going to discuss what I was going to discuss today. But I just felt moved to say that we need to move away from these conversations that don't serve us fully. And with that, I will see you tomorrow.